Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Hey, we're done with yet another half marathon weekend. And what a huge weekend this was for racing just all around. It was crazy how many races fell on this first full weekend in November. Actually, I guess it was the first weekend in November. So, as you can see here, I was in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, home of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, running the Good Life Halfsy half marathon. Back home in Kansas City, we had the first ever Yeti Challenge weekend, where Saturday you did either the 5K or the 10K. And then on Sunday, you turned around and either did the half marathon or the full marathon. And so this was the first year for that, but I've seen posts everywhere. It looks like it was a really great time. Everyone kind of local here, all the runners that we know and love around here were at that event. So good job to everyone there. In Lawrence, Kansas, home of the Kansas Jayhawks. Ooh, we had the Kansas Half Marathon, another big race, which I've done several times, had some folks over there. We had the Salina Crossroads Half Marathon and full marathon. That was another one where people were at. And then, of course, in the World Marathon Majors, we had the New York Marathon, which you've heard me talk about that race before. Absolutely love that race. I know we had some folks out there doing that race as well. So it was just an all around huge weekend for running all around the country. So that was really cool. Really great to see all the social media presence and the post and all that good stuff about all these various races. So that was really cool. So let's talk about the Good Life Halfsy in Lincoln, Nebraska. First and foremost, I loved this race. I loved the whole experience. Lincoln, Nebraska, being a college town, is a college town I really like. I've been to Lincoln before. I went up there with a buddy a few years ago, right before the Rona, for a concert that they were having at their it's PNC Center, so their big arena in Lincoln, Nebraska. So we went up there for a concert. We got to stay the night there and just enjoy a night out. Their kind of main street or their main area, tons of bars and restaurants, places to eat, things to do, places to hang out. So for a college town, it's a good one. So I really like Lincoln, Nebraska. So Saturday, I left here at about 11 a.m. Kansas City time and drove up to Lincoln. It's about a 3-hour trip from my house. Not bad, not bad at all. So made it up there. I actually stopped at one of the Harley Davidson dealerships in the area because I like to collect, various t-shirts and patches and stuff from Harley Davidson places. That's just one of the things I enjoy doing. I did not ride my motorcycle up there because the weather was questionable, but I did stop by the dealership anyway. Everyone there, very nice. They asked what I was in town for. Told them I was there for the half marathon. They all thought I was crazy. So, par for the course. So went to the dealership, went and got checked into my hotel, stayed right across the street from the big Nebraska Cornhusker football stadium, which was huge. I mean, rivals that of NFL teams. So that was really cool to just kind of look out my window and look right at the stadium there. Unfortunately, they didn't have a home game. I was kind of hoping, since I got into town a little early and I was just going to kind of tuck into the hotel, that there might have been a home game. Just, I could watch it on TV, but I could kind of see the sights and just see the crowds and the people and whatnot. But hey, not in the card. So I didn't get to see a Nebraska Cornhusker home game even from afar. I would not have gotten tickets. That's a different experience entirely. But did that, went out and ventured out to get a meal, get my carb loading going. Went to a place called Napoli's. It was is an Italian place that was just right around the corner, well within walking distance of my hotel. And I walked in there. I was a little worried. Now, granted, it was only maybe 4 in the afternoon. I think 4 in the afternoon seems about right. But I walked in there and the place was a ghost town, like nobody there. I am sure everyone was just kind of waiting for the dinner rush. But I went up to the bar, just sitting by myself, had some food. The spaghetti and sausage was pretty good, like not bad at all. But their bread, that bread was so good. I was basically full of bread before the spaghetti ever got there. So I'm just going to say that I was doing carb loading right. But man, their bread, it came out of the kitchen piping hot. And of course, you get the oils to dip it in. And it was just, a little lightly Italian seasoned bread. Oh, it was so good. So Napoli's in Lincoln, Nebraska, you get the official thumbs up from the Back of the Pack podcast. Your food was really good. So I took my leftovers, went back to the hotel, and I was just going to call it a night. I guess I did leave out that I did go to the expo. Okay, let's backtrack. Before dinner, I did go to the expo for the race. The expo was actually in I don't know. I'm going to guess it's kind of an all-purpose center because on one side we had the expo, and I'm pretty sure that on the other side of the building they were either having a cattle auction or a rodeo. One of those two things was happening because I'm pretty sure there was a lot of horse and livestock action going over on the other side. From what I could hear, I'm going to guess that there was an auction. I think there was like a cattle auction or something going on the other side. But it was interesting how one half you've got race expo, other half you've got livestock. So we went and did that. Went to the expo. It was, I mean, it's a good expo for a half marathon. Certainly not going to bash it or anything. Doesn't speak as much to me as an out of towner because all their stuff was local stuff. It was local things that people were, either trying to get you interested in, or they were handing out, or you know how expos are. Yeah, and so it was a very Nebraska local expo. So, I kind of looked at some of the booths, but nothing really stuck out. What I did appreciate about this race, and now see, I'm wearing right now, boy, it looks like the camera adds like 40 pounds. Anyway, I'm wearing my official race shirt. But what I do like are expos that have stores. So there was a Good Life Halfsy store at the expo. And I mean, they've got pint glasses, beanies, hoodies, shirts, socks, stickers. They had a lot of stuff that they were selling on top of what the giveaways were for the race. So I thought that was really cool. Now I'm going to reach over here. One of the things I got at registration, they actually had running jackets as an option for registration. So I have this very nice, I'm looking for the front here, running jacket. If you're on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it, although there we go. So it's a running jacket. It's got the Good Life Halfsy logo on the front. It's a zip up, but it actually is a running jacket type fit. Okay. So it's got the elastic bottom, so it hugs you around the waist a little bit. It's made out of a really sport athletic type material. So if you do the Good Life Halfsy, I would definitely recommend you add this to your registration because this is a good jacket. And I'm super excited that I'll be rocking this here once the weather gets cool again, which we all know is coming. A little warm right now in Kansas City, not going to lie, but the cold weather is on the way, as it always is. Okay, so the expo was done. We've got our packets. We have dinner. And then I'm just going to the hotel and I'm just staying. I'm staying in, not doing anything crazy. I want to get rest. I want to try and get some sleep. It was the night of daylight savings time, so I knew I was going to get an extra hour, which, hey, that's really cool. Get that extra hour before the race. Because what I had heard and what I'd been told was that parking and traffic for this race, for the Good Life Halfsy, was a bit of a madhouse. So I'm like, okay, because I am, Mr. Eagle Scout, which I was in two previous lives ago. I was an Eagle Scout, so Boy Scout, be prepared. That's our motto. I was going to be prepared. Man, I was going to be up early, out of the hotel, and to that parking lot before the rooster crowed, even with daylight savings time, because I'm not going to risk missing the start of this race or being rushed because I was not prepared for traffic. Okay, so seems logical, correct? Oh, I kill myself sometimes. So I sit in my hotel room. I'm watching college football all night. One of my local teams, the Kansas Jayhawks, they had a big game against Iowa State, so I watched that. And again, I root for most things Kansas. I'm not saying I'm a Jayhawk, not saying I'm a Wildcat. I'm actually an MNU Pioneer, if you must know. But they don't take it nearly as serious as you Big 12 schools. So anyway, I was rooting for Kansas over Iowa State. Good game. Game got over. I went to bed. Boom. Slept like garbage. That's what you do the night before a race. That's what you do in a hotel room. So that's really what you do the night before a race in a hotel room. You sleep like garbage. So slept like garbage. Got up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Okay. The race doesn't start until 8:30 in the morning. I am up at 5 a.m. So I get up. I start getting myself dressed. I'm getting all my stuff on. I am triple checking that I have everything I need. Okay, I got the running shoes on. I got my socks. Okay, got knee braces on both knees. Yep, good. Okay, got my pants on. Pants are important. They're actually required in most places. Must wear pants. Okay, got my shirt on. Got the bib on my shirt. All right, I'm good here. Got my headphones on. Yep, got my headphones. I got my little belt that I like to wear. Yep, got my belt. My car key is in the belt. Okay, now we start packing up the room. Get everything. Got everything out of the bathroom. Okay, good. Yeah. You know how it goes. A couple minutes after 5:30, I am rolling my suitcase and we are out of the room at 5:30. That's 3 hours before race time. But again, I am not going to miss the start of this race because I was unprepared. I'm just not going to do that. No, because it is going to be an absolute circus trying to get in and park for this place. I just know that it is. I have been told this. So I check out of the hotel. I walk up the street to go to the parking garage, load my stuff, pay my parking, which, boy, that parking garage had the strangest payment system ever. I'm glad that someone was manning the speaker box on the other side because they could see on the camera that I was struggling to figure it out. I also hadn't had coffee yet. Give me a break. So I settle up there and I'm off. I am heading to the race about 2.5 hours early now. So I get there. I'm thinking, okay, any second now, I'm going to run into this line of cars because they said the parking lot opens at 6. I'm going to be there right at 6. All right, there's going to be a long line of cars. Okay, no. So, okay, GPS says turn left here. All right, I'm going to turn left here. And I go, oh, there's a few cars down there. Oh, I see the start line. Oh, I'm parking next to the people who are setting up the start line because I am so early and there is nobody else there that I'm parked in the very front row. Whoops. Yeah, so my overprepared self, I was there super early, stupid early, and got to sit in my car for an hour and a half just mindlessly scrolling through my phone, waiting for the festivities to begin. Jeez. But hey, I didn't have to worry about traffic. There were no traffic concerns on my part. I was there and ready. So, little victories. We're going to go with that. I finally venture out of my car at 7:30, an hour before the race. I find the Porta-Johns. Hey, credit to the Good Life Halfsy. You all had Porta-Johns more than covered. There were more than plenty. Pretty sure if there was a pop-up thunderstorm, every runner would have a porta potty that they probably could have hid in and had it all to themselves. There were tons. Well done. You guys were definitely prepared with the restroom situation. So I'm doing that. I took a few pictures. I'll get them out there on Instagram for the page here at some point. Took some pictures around the start corral and just enjoyed the morning. It was a chilly morning. We started in the low 40s for that race, and I had a short sleeve shirt on, so I definitely was a little chilly at times, but I knew that the weather was going to warm up, and of course, you're going to warm up a lot while you're running. Duh. So just kind of suffered through it at the start of the race. We get in our starting line, and this is a very big race. I did not fully comprehend how many people there were going to be, but there was the start line down at the bottom of this hill. I had to go all the way up the hill and then a dog leg right, and people are lining up darn near at the other end of this parking lot. And it was a long starting chute, long line. I find the pace that I'm thinking I'm going to go. I'm tucked in right behind the 240 Pacers. All right. So I thought, last week in Midland, Texas at Energy City, I did a 244 and change. All right. This is supposed to be an easy course. I'm going to move up to the 240 and see what I can do. So that was my logic, but I'm there. We go through all the pre-race festivities and then boom, it's time to start. We are supposed to start at 8:30 and they blow the whistle or shoot the gun or whatever it was. I was too far away to hear at 8:30. This race started on time. Now, one thing that I hate, I'm not saying I don't understand it, but I hate it. Our wave starts. They had wave starts. I hate wave starts. I understand them. So please don't send me hate mail. Okay, well, we had to do that because I know why you did it. I don't like it anyway. There were a ton of people, too many people for the roads in which this race took part on. Okay, we're going to get to the course here in a second. And at the beginning, at the start line, they had these corrals that really bottlenecked everyone who was crossing the start line. I understand all of this was so that it did not get too busy or too full on some of these parts of the course that just weren't flat made for a large group of runners. Again, I understand the logic. I still don't like wave starts because me, as a person more towards the back, when the race starts at 8:30 and I cross the starting mat at 8:57 and change, I am starting rather cranky. I am in a bad mood when I'm beginning this race because look, if you're going to wave start and it takes me about 5 minutes to get going, I'm going to grumble a little bit, but I understand 27 minutes of standing there and taking those little half baby steps forward. It was too much. It was too much. 27 minutes to start a half marathon. No, this is not Boston. This is not New York, where there's a lot of gap in between. I would like to suggest, if anyone from Good Life Halfsy were to listen to this, rethink the wave strategy. If you're gonna do waves, okay, do waves, but I mean like 10 seconds in between. As soon as you're finished with one wave, get the other ones up to the start line. Okay, you guys ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It was too much. 27 minutes was way too long. That is my biggest gripe from the Good Life Halfsy. Again, they don't care what I think, and I understand that completely. I understand the logic of this wave situation. I did not like it in practice. It started me off on the wrong foot. You're not stretched out anymore. You're not warm anymore because there's no room. You're stuck in these corrals. You're in the cattle chute, basically, and you can't keep loose. And so there was a lot of grumbling from my fellow runners near the 240 pace, as it took us a lifetime, it felt like, to get to that start line. So for what that's worth, starting at almost 9 a.m., I know that I'm in for a long day. Temperature is going up, which is great, but we like the cooler running temperatures. And that day, it was supposed to get over 70 degrees. And if you're not finishing until, let's just say, between 11 a.m. and noon, I mean, you're almost to the heat of the day. But anyway, so we get going. And yes, there were very, very, very narrow parts of this course. At the beginning, you go up the hill, you make a left, you're on a sidewalk. You're taking a sidewalk around a school, and it's just for a little bit, but that's where a lot of the congestion can take place, especially at the start. And especially because, and again, another gripe, this is not race specific. This is not only the Good Life Halfsy. I have complained, well, complain's a strong word. I have mentioned this about many other races. So please, this is not a shot. But newbie runners who don't know what they're doing, who have not listened to my podcast episode about race day etiquette, clearly they didn't, who don't care about where they line up. They don't care about the pace signs. And again, I know this because there were two of them in front of me. They're like, oh, should we be here with this 240? And the person was like, it doesn't matter. Oh, it matters. Oh, it matters, especially when I'm right behind you and you are planning on walking the moment you cross the start line and for the entirety of that event. Now, Good Life Halfsy, credit, you guys have a 4-hour time limit. So if a person plans on walking the entire thing, they're still going to get their half marathon in. So that's cool. That's like Little Rock that opens the course up 2 hours early for anyone who wants to walk the full marathon. I want people who may not be able to run the whole thing or who might be slower to be able to complete these races. Hell, that is what this whole thing is about. But know your situation, know where you're at, know where you need to be, and know where you shouldn't be. And that will help. So again, when you're starting the race and immediately slamming into the back of people who are just taking their leisurely stroll, who are walking 3, 4, 5 wide, who just are clueless, again, another thing that just kind of can put you in a little bit of a bad mood at the start of a race. And there was a lot of that. There were a lot of people who did not properly identify their abilities and where they needed to be. So they were in the wrong spots. But eventually you get with the flow of the race. This race is a very downhill course, downhill and flat. There was not a whole lot of uphill, which was great. Like I enjoyed it. There was just enough uphill to switch up the muscles in your legs from time to time. So you weren't running like the same thing. It wasn't like Midland last week, which was just so flat and there was no variation. There was no up, there was no down. It was just flat the entire time. And by the end of it, you're really feeling it. Like, man, I am really feeling that this is a flat course and I haven't used a single other muscle in my legs other than the flat muscles. If that even exists, if that's even a thing, I don't know. So a lot of ups, or a little bit of ups, a lot of down, a lot of flat. Great course. I really enjoyed the course. The other part where I'm guessing the wave starts came into play, there was a stretch, and it was at least a 5K of a stretch, at least over 3 miles, if not more than that, where I believe it was before mile marker 5, and it definitely ended after mile marker 8, where you are on a very open and very busy road, and the runners get one lane. You get the rightmost lane, and that's it. So you actually have one lane of cars going the same direction as you to your left, and then, of course, 2 lanes of oncoming traffic over on the other side. But that is a long stretch for one lane, and it definitely got a little clogged. Again, I understand they're trying to avoid stuff like that. That kind of situation is unavoidable, especially that far into a race. And I really fell into an issue with the pace group. And again, this is not a fault. Please don't take this as a negative fault. This is simply my experience. I was running very consistently with the 240s. When they ran, they were faster than me, but they also took walk breaks. And at that point, I had not taken a walk. So they run and they get in front of me, then they get to their walk, and then, oh man, I'm still running. So I've got to kind of bound and weave and get through them. And I get a little bit ahead. They start running again. They all pass me again. They immediately start walking as soon as they get in front of me. And again, on this one lane road with the pace group, and then, of course, just other runners, it was very congested and very, and a lot of people who would take themselves to the walk and not signal it. And again, I'm not perfect about that either. I try to get better about, putting a hand up. Hey, I'm about to take a walk, y'all. Don't slam into the back of me. But boy, I had this lady, I won't forget her, lady in the blue pants. She put the brakes on when we about had this much distance between us anyway. And we almost ended up in a really awkward looking situation right there. But thankfully, I had this inkling that she was just about to come to a stop. Again, never threw her hand up or anything, just bam, hit the brakes directly in front of me. But I already had my escape route planned out, and we avoided any and all contact. So thank goodness for that. That would have been weird. But anyway, so I'm continuing on. I'm having a very good race, enjoying my time, enjoying the race. There were parts of it that were very pretty. You run through some really nice neighborhoods. You run around a lot of the Nebraska, and maybe not their campus, but a lot of their facilities. You get to see some really cool parts of Lincoln. You look over, you see one of their big Capitol buildings. That was pretty. And then you're heading towards downtown. Pretty. So it was a pretty race. The crowd support was far better than I expected. There was a lot of crowd support during that race. And so for me, and again, how I ended this race, I got to, I was probably at mile 10 and a half, and it finally hit. My legs finally said, dude, we have done 3 half marathons, 3 weekends in a row. We're done. Like, I'm just done with you. This is what my legs are telling me. We don't want to do this anymore. We have reached over fatigue, shall we say. And again, I had just a little over 2 miles left. And so I really had to fight through those last 2 miles. They were not easy. They were not fun. I was getting leg pains in places I normally don't get leg pains. And I've looked, and it was overuse, overexertion. These 3 half marathons in 3 weeks has finally caught up with me. And it caught up with me towards the end of this race. So I finished the race. You get a wonderful downhill on this race to finish. Like, it was great. You have to, you're going around one of the facilities, and then you have to go up this big walking bridge. And it's a big walking bridge that you take to go from a satellite parking lot over to the big football stadium. So it's a very nice bridge, but you got to go up, and all bridges have a curve. Well, when you get to the top of that bridge, straight downhill shot to the finish line of maybe a half mile, maybe a hair under a half mile. No, it's definitely a hair under a half mile. But either which way, you get a very great downhill shot all the way to the finish line. So build some speed, build some momentum, and finish strong. So this is now my second fastest half marathon ever. I missed a PR. I would have tied a PR if I had been 31 seconds faster. So new PR if I was 32 seconds faster. So I was right there. I would have had it if I had not had the leg fatigue issues towards the end of the race. But you know what? That stuff happens. I'm really not hanging my head about it. I'm not disappointed. It was, like I said, it was a really good race. I enjoyed the experience. Super glad I did it. The Good Life Halfsy gets thumbs up from the Back of the Pack podcast. Maybe next year, if there's interested parties, we can make it a kind of a team trip, a fan trip. If you're a fan of the podcast and you want to go try this race due to the recommendations from me and others, maybe we could plan that out, and we could take a little team trip up to Lincoln, Nebraska, and run this race. I would like to return. I think it was worth doing again, and maybe hopefully doing a little better. If you guys will forgive me for one moment for going out of camera range, stick with me. I can get the medal. Almost got it. There we go. So if you're watching it on the old YouTube or Facebook or wherever we put the video, here we go. Here's the medal. So see, here it is. The 10th anniversary of the Good Life Halfsy. That's what this one was. This is a good size medal. Like, well, I mean, it's not as big as my head, but then again, most things aren't. And I'd be frightened if they were. But yeah, so this is the medal. So Good Life Halfsy 10-year anniversary medal. And again, I highly recommend this race. So we're going to do this race again, I believe. If you want to go with me, let's go do what next year will be number 11. So that'll be super fun. And wow, I've spent most of this episode just talking about this race. I'll just kind of forego one of the running topics I was going to talk about. Let's finish with this, okay? So, all right. There's a saying that I'm familiar with, and the saying is, don't mess with Texas. I've now learned this lesson. Apparently last week when Cody and I did our in-car episode, our in-car review of the Energy City Half Marathon, there were those who felt we were too harsh. To those people, I say, I apologize. I certainly did not mean to come off too harsh about that race. I enjoyed the Energy City Half Marathon. We had a great time. I had a great time in Midland, Texas. Had a great time meeting Rob, going to the game, and running the race. Anything that we had, please don't take as negatives. They were simply critiques. Every runner has critiques because no race is perfect. Even the Good Life Halfsy wasn't perfect. My beloved Garmin Kansas City Marathon, never perfect. No race is perfect. But if we came across as overly negative, let me apologize. I certainly did not mean to. For this show, we do not bash races. We do not come down harder than races. We've done it one time. All right. We did it to the Law Dog race last year because they were unsafe and not 100% their fault, but kind of a little bit. But when their course was not closed properly and there were construction trucks going up and down the course the entire time while my kids were on that course running the race, it did not sit well with me. And I know I might have had a few choice words. That is the only race that I will ever consider that we gave a negative feedback to. I don't give negative feedbacks to races because, like I said, no race is perfect, but every race is out there trying to do what I feel like we in the running community need to do. We need to run the races. We need to meet the people. We need to go through the process. We need to go to the event. We need to enjoy the event. We need the rewards from the event because they're very self-satisfying and satisfying to a community. What you guys do down in Texas for Energy City is wonderful. Again, your group is wonderful. So I pulled up some of the things that people said about the race, and I'm going to present them right now. Because again, if we were overly critical, I'm sorry. We're both tired and both on a road trip, overly exhausted. So again, we could have come off harsh. I don't ever go back and listen to episodes. Can't stand my own voice. But again, I understand that there were people who thought we were. So I apologize. But okay, so here's some of the things that were said to do. Let me hit the see more thing. All right, I'm going to quote a guy. Tom, you the man here. Nothing but love for you. And I know that you just wanted to set us a little bit straight. So he did want to point out and make sure that they knew that Midland is a much smaller community than Kansas City. Very true. And again, because I think that goes back to just the crowd size that we had mentioned. And so what he says about the community of Midland. So Midland has one of the best running communities I've been lucky enough to be a part of. Our community goes way beyond the races and the personal connections. It goes way beyond the races and the personal connections run deep. We've come together to support other runners who have lost loved ones, to fighting cancer, to lost jobs, and everything in between. I've seen others sacrifice their race to help others. It really comes down to a smaller community. Then they give the numbers of how the KC Metro is 2.2 million, and they have about 1/10 of that or less. They are also a highly transient community, and many of the workers here are not involved in the community in any way. And that's true. As Cody pointed out, an oil community, and I'm sure a lot of people come in for work in the oil field. So races, he says that they have races, Rock the Rind, Run the Runway, Hot Dog Run, interested, Tall City 10K, Run the Racket, Superhero Run, Texas Mud Out, Shamrock Shuffle, Together Trail Race, Fall Festival, Jingle Bell Run, and those are just a few of the races put on by the Midland Athletic Company. The YMCA of Midland, Midland College, and various nonprofits put on many others. As for the course, and this is talking about Energy City, yes, it's a little long. They are aware. Okay, we'll see. I did not know that. It was certified a few years back. It's in a neighborhood for obvious safety reasons and for the ease of traffic control. You've seen our traffic, right? 100% we saw that traffic. And I'm fine being back in the communities and away from some of that traffic. They would love to have some more cheering along the course. However, that doesn't always happen. And again, tons of races where that is the case. And so he says that the race has grown a lot. since someone took over in 2015. A gentleman named Cameron Stotts. He started the race in 2015, and they still do it to continue his legacy of selfless giving and serving others. And he would have been ecstatic that we drove down to do that race. So, and again, I remember hearing about that at the start line. And then there was another person who wanted to pitch in as well. And she, her name is Kayla, wanted to add that 100% of the money raised and proceeds go back to the community. Nobody makes money off the event. They're always looking for ways to make the event bigger and better, but are completing it in our free time as volunteers. And I did see that all the members of their race committee are all volunteers. Like there's no race director getting paid. They are 100% volunteer led. And she says they're proud of the certified course and all the people that pour their hearts into making our community better. It may not be a rock and roll event, but we are proud of what we have raised to give back, and that they know they're changing lives, and that is their goal. So again, I want to make sure to throw that out just in the interest of complete fairness. And again, I apologize if we came off too negative. Not my intent. We very much enjoyed your event, and we think you guys did a wonderful job. And again, runner gripes are just runner gripes. Take them with a grain of salt, because again, we all have them. There's no perfect race, and there's no perfect racers. So I'm definitely not one of those. So that's where we're going to leave it. Next week for the podcast, we're actually going to take it down a notch, if you can believe that, and not run a half marathon. Won't that be lovely? We will be in Parkville, Missouri for the Veterans Day 5K and 10K. I'll be doing the 10K. So I hope I see a lot of you out in Parkville. I'm sure there are other races being run all around that people can get into. As for the podcast, we're actually only signed up for 2 more races this entire year. I'm definitely going to bring it down a little bit in December. I want to do some more family-oriented Christmassy things, because I put a lot of that on the back burner last year. So I'm kind of thinking we're going to do that. I might make one of the races or 2, and I'm going to cough now. Excuse me. There we go. I don't have a cough button. Sorry. So December is going to be pretty light for us. We'll put out a new episode every week, but I won't be at as many of the events. I'm thinking I'm still going to try and figure out how to get to the Great Santa Run, because that is my running anniversary, my race anniversary. It'll be 13 years of racing for this year's Great Santa Run. So there we go. That is the wrap up for the Good Life Halfsy in Lincoln, Nebraska. Highly recommend it. Would love to go back with some of you guys next year. If anyone is interested, we will get that worked out. Energy City Half Marathon, you guys were great. Garmin Kansas City Marathon, of course, hometown, love you. But my big thing of 3 half marathons 3 weeks in a row is now over. Hallelujah, praise be the Lord, because I'm tired, man. I am tired. But everyone, I know we had some listeners at the New York City Marathon. You guys freaking rock. Great job. Everyone who did Salina, awesome. Yeti Challenge, awesome. Good Life Halfsy, amazing. Y'all, you're killing it this year. This is one of the best years of running I've seen. I can't believe 2023 is actually starting to wind down. If you can believe that, in 2 weeks, we're going to be sitting here staring at a plate of turkey and mashed potatoes, or whatever you might enjoy on your Thanksgiving. It's nuts. It is nuts how fast this year has gone. So anyway, this has been the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. My pleasure, as always. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. We are doing a lot more with our social media just to try and get people engaged and be interactive, and get you guys to really celebrate the things that you do. Every Monday, we have Medal Monday. I will post the medal that I earned that weekend. And if I didn't earn the medal, I will go to one of the waybacks and post something. But I want to see what you did. I want to see what you earned. Show me your medal. Trust me, I'm not up there just to see the stuff that I see on my wall all the time. I'm just using that to get the conversation started. I want to see what you do. So please go find the Back of the Pack podcast on Instagram. That's where the post comes from. If you want to play along, probably easier to go to Facebook and post your picture on that thread. But again, I want to see what you do. On Thursdays now, we're going to do a thing where we show off a race shirt. Okay, I will take a stupid little selfie of me in a race shirt, whatever reason, what shirt I just earned, or a shirt from the way back. But again, then I want to see you practice your best selfie pose. Find the coolest shirt that you have, or from the longest distance, or the neatest color, or the coolest design, or the one that you didn't turn into a quilt. Just something. On Thursdays, we're doing the selfies and the race shirts. On Mondays, we're doing Medal Monday, and then we're throwing stuff in all over the place just to keep us going, keep us engaged, keep things moving along, and have fun. Because again, this running community is supposed to be fun. So let's all have some freaking fun. Okay. You're going to have fun. That's right. Be afraid. Be very afraid. So there we go. So make sure you look out for that. And then the new YouTube channel is going. You can do at the Back of the Pack podcast. Don't forget the, all one word. You should find our new channel. Our new logo is there. We are halfway done in getting all the old episodes uploaded. So we're halfway to the finish line of getting this done. So if you've missed some old episodes, and maybe you weren't a fan of the show then, and you want to hear some oldies, maybe oldies and goodies, they're out there now. So please go out there, listen, subscribe to the channel, need that big time, and like the episodes. If you like it. If you don't like it, don't dislike it. Just don't do anything. But if you like it, hit the like button. Okay. All of this helps us grow. We're trying to grow. Cool. Cool. Everyone have a great week of training. Hopefully we'll see you in Parkville, Missouri next week for the race. And if not, enjoy whatever race you're doing. Have a great week of training and we'll see you next week.